welcome back everyone, welcome back to another season, another edition here of the RSL, the Rival StarCraft League Season 6 of 2026, the Americas Server Qualifier. I'm of course VIP. With me, I'm joined by these amazing players and by the people in chat as well. Welcome one and all. We are here, we are back, we are live, and I do apologize for the delayed start. I do apologize here as we did have, unfortunately, a walkover in the first round. Let's go over the bracket itself. Let's go. Here we go. Exclamation mark B in the chat if you guys don't have to look by yourselves. Again, the bracket is a little bit smaller, a little bit sweeter here, and we already have the first round results coming in. As you mentioned previously, we were supposed to, or ideally we were planned to jump into Trigger versus Percival, but Percival did not show. We did wait over the walkover period as well, hoping that maybe he could show up, but looks like something has come up, or maybe fell back asleep, maybe something else. Hard to say, hard to know. We tried to reach out, but alas did not answer. So with that we are going to be getting into our qualifying match. So when it comes to the bracket itself, we have ByuN, Mapu, Trigger, Percival, Cure, Falling Ninja, Zaun, and Silver BV. So a lot of Protoss, a lot of Terran going to be facing off here in this small bracket. And remember, it's top 2 advance on. Top 2 players will advance on into the main event. So here already in the semis, these are best of 5 qualifying matches. So ByuN takes on Mapu 2-0. Trigger gets a walkover win over Percival. And that means we have ByuN versus Trigger in a best of 5 series here between ByuN and Trigger. Winner of that series will be a part of RSL Season 6. The loser is knocked out of the qualifier and will have to try to play in another qualifier. I should also very quickly emphasize that this is the America's Server Qualifier. What does that mean? That means that if players from the Americas competed, they could prioritize, of course, their home server, and also it's a much more friendly time for the Americas players as well. But it's open to all. We could have seen Europeans stay up, but again, right now it's like, what, 3 a.m. in the morning? Like 3 a.m.? Like it's very, very late in Europe, for example, so it's at a worse time for Europeans. The European server qualifier is going to be a better time for Europeans. So again, because it's a server qualifier, it's not like region locked or region based. It's just that said server has the server advantage, and it's also at a more convenient time for players of that region. But that's why we have Korean players competing here, of course. ByuN versus Trigger, they're facing off in a qualifying match. Meanwhile, we have Cure. Cure is up against Falling Ninja. Zaun is up against Silver BV. Winner is going into another qualifying match. Let's go. Let us go. I should also emphasize as well, as videos are currently underway, that we do have a custom map pool. The RSL, they have their own custom map pool here with some TLMC maps mixed in, like Exarch, for example, or Necropolis, for example, as well. So they do have a custom map pool, which we are going to be using for these qualifiers. Likewise, the finals of this event is going to be at BlizzCon, right? It was recently announced that because Taste Host is going to be at BlizzCon anyway for the Blizzard Cup, they've been able to strike a deal and be able to organize the RSL finals to also be at BlizzCon as well. I don't know if it's going to be the playoffs or just the finals, or just the 2 players in the finals. But that is a new kind of big feature of RSL, is offline BlizzCon finals, which is really cool. Really cool. They were able to organize that and set that up. Otherwise, we are jumping into our first game here. Vetoes are now almost done, and ByuN versus Trigger is about to begin. Let's go. And of course, Percival, unfortunately, again, did no show, but he might be able to show up for the Korean server qualifier, which is tomorrow, or the European server qualifier, which is at a really rough time. But if he's full degen, then that might be a better time for Percival. True. Clem could have turned up. Clem doesn't often show up for the Americas server qualifiers, but yeah, maybe he's a little bit preoccupied due to the previous events. Maestros of the game. There we go. Due to Maestros. Possible. So tuck it up, papi. But we have our best of 5, and of course some RSL and all tournaments are on the current version of the game. I should emphasize that there are some people that keep asking, like, oh, is it going to be in the old version? The only event that was on the old version of the game was Maestros of the game, and the rationale for that is because the entirety of the event and the group stage took place in the previous patch, so it made sense for all that to line up. That was their rationale. Outside of that, expect all tournaments to be on the current live patch. I do expect that. If not, that will be an exception, of course. So for example, RSL was on the live patch, Doyo Cup was on the live patch, Home Story Cup is going to be on the live patch, or the Open Cups as well. So do just have that expectation, and then if there's an exception, well, that would be like the exception to the rule. Otherwise, we are jumping in. Otherwise, we are getting ready here for our series. We're going to be loading into Ruby Rock. So it's at 4 a.m. Oh, there you go. 4 a.m. in the morning. It's, again, very, very late in Europe. Very, very late. So if you're out there, if you're from Europa, if you're watching, yo, get some sleep. Look after yourselves. Look after yourselves. Take care. Take care. But yes, I believe tomorrow is the Korean qualifier and the day after is the European qualifier. There's going to be one qualifier per region, per server, basically. And there are also some seeds from the previous performances from last season. So we do have some players seeded in already. And we also have some invites. Basically, at the end of all the qualifiers, Patreons from the RSL Patreon will be able to vote on who they want to be in the events. So they do open voting for their patrons. So if you want to help support the RSL, you can do so via Patreon, !RSL in the chat, and you get a link to that Patreon page so you can have your vote and have your say in regards to maps added and in regards to players competing as well. My sleep is a mess. Take care, Pappy. Take care. Take care. We've all been there, Pappy. We've all been there. All good. All good. I can watch ByuN at 4 a.m. Yeah. Let's go. Let's go. No. Otherwise, we are soon to jump in. Likewise, ideally, we should be able to cover the lower semifinals, sorry, the lower qualifying match as well, one after the other. That is the hope, at least. That's the hope, that is the goal. That we are able to cover both. Likewise, I hope you all had a great weekend. I do highly recommend checking out the Doyo Cup VODs. It was a very intense week. Very intense week. We had 9-hour cast days. I think day 1 was 8 hours, day 2 was 9 hours. I think day 3 and 4 were like 6 to 7 hours each. But it was a very intense week. It was it was very draining as well. And if you noticed that I was like wearing a scarf the entire time, 1, because it's very cold, but 2, like my voice was being strained because it was so cold. So it was a rough week. It was, but we made it. We made it. I saw Sid Sood in the chat earlier. I'm sure you can relate. Like, it's been very cold as of late here in Australia. It has not been ideal. But looks like our players are ready. Players are ready. We are jumping into game number 1. And spawning in the top left-hand corner of Ruby Rock, we have the Canadian Protoss player. We have the red Protoss representing Basilisk. It is a Trigger. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the blue Terran player. We have the South Korean Terran, the blue Terran, representing Shopify. It is ByuN. Let's go. Let us go. We are getting into our next series here. We're getting into our first series, our first qualifying match. Remember, the winner of the series will advance on into the main event. The loser will have to try again in the Korean qualifier, the European qualifier, or hope for the fan vote. So that is going to be the hope here for whoever does not claim this series. For now, we're selling it. And welcome to the new patch, of course. Here in the new patch, there's a lot that has been changing, of course, specifically in regards to Protoss and the Protoss mid to late game. We'll get into it here. We'll get into it. I'm curious to see how much practice Trigger has been putting into said new patch. For now, though, also welcome to Ruby Rock. Ruby Rock is a smaller map of the map, smaller map, a shorter rush distance by ground. Aggression is favored here on Ruby Rock, so shorter rush distance, you can get across the map very, very quickly here, and typically we do see a lot of early to mid game aggression from the side of Terran players. We expect a lot of 2-base all-ins. 2-base all-ins are very common. They're very just common. They're very meta, if you will, in TvP. We'll see if ByuN does embrace that more aggressive style. We'll see if Trigger can survive said aggression. For now, single gas opener. Economic starts at a ByuN going for a faster CC. Meanwhile, Trigger across the map going for a standard opener himself. Nothing crazy, nothing wild. There's no proxy pylon. There's no shenanigans out on the map. None whatsoever, not yet. And we're still waiting to see the tech of choice, whether we go for a Twilight Council, a Stargate, or a Robo-based opener. When it comes to TvP as of late, we have been seeing a mixture of the two. We saw a lot of Stargate play during the week when it comes to to going for Oracle openers or Phoenix openers. We saw some Blink play mixed in as well, bearing in mind that during the PTR it was actually quite difficult to get into gateway aggression because of how costly it was to morph in warp gates, but that was diminished. Originally it was 50-50, 50 minerals and 50 gas to morph in a warp gate. That was diminished into 25-25, and that has meant that it is more accessible. Now what I'm most curious by, I don't think we'll experience it, I'm most curious to see how the mid to late game has changed for TvP, specifically in regards to map control and how Protoss players, they gain map control, they gain momentum, they take over the map, they can engulf everything, and then they can just send wave after wave of gateway units. Of course that is now diminished because of the gateway change, but is that really enough? Likewise, another big change of course is the pylon. We have seen in all matchups now proxy pylons are much more prevalent, and proxy pylons allow for much more aggression. The reasoning for this is because nowadays you no longer need a gateway for fast warp-ins. Now you can do fast warp-ins with just a pylon. That means, one, it's harder to scout these warp-in locations because now they take less surface area. Two, they come online much faster because you don't have to wait for a gateway to finish producing, you just have to wait for the pylon to finish producing as well. So we have seen a lot of gateway aggression in ZVP especially. I haven't casted too much TvP as of late to really see that come into play either. But there are certain things that have kind of made some things more aggressive, other things less aggressive. Like there's been some shifts here in Protoss matchups, for sure. Meanwhile, Twilight Council opener out of Trigger, going into Blink. So far so good. We'll see how many gateways he throws down. So far it's going to be 2 gate Blink, which is very greedy. We'll see if he goes for a 3rd gateway, a robot before expanding, and even a 4th gateway as well. We'll see how dedicated Trigger is going to be on 2 bases. Adepts are looking for a way in. So far ByuN, he is keeping up. Behind this, going for his own 1-1-1 into Widowmine drop. And Trigger does poke in, does get eyes on said Widowmine, and doesn't get into the main. Okay, does not get into the main. Just poking forward. We'll lose a Stalker. A bit of miscontrol there by Trigger. Yeah, an expensive loss already here against the Widowmine. Adepts, they do pull away. Meanwhile, ByuN, he's going to be able to catch. Almost said Adept. Does zone, does pull back. And behind this, Widowmine drop is setting up and soon to move out. So far, a better start here for ByuN. Trigger, we got to lock in. Bad. As again, the drop is amassing. Adepts stay third in the shade. They see nothing. Here comes that drop, going for a triple Widowmine drop across the map. And how many gateways? 2? No shot. Yeah, nice catch, nice auto stepping here. The Adept does take a lot of damage. But Trigger does go 2 gate. 2 gate Blink into a very fast 3rd. This is a very greedy build here from Trigger. This is a 3rd at Nexus before Robo as well. And we'll see if Trigger can get away with it. But now though, the mine drop does come in and Trigger does have units in position. And we'll zone. There we go. Nice shot here. Gets one, just one. Jesus. Yeah, takes down one Widowmine. Another shot goes off, takes out a Stalker. At the same time, we get a 3rd Widowmine drop into the main. The boys are being pulled and the shot will connect. The retargeting. He wants to chase. Yeah, he wants to give chase, but is going to be denied. Widowmine shot does not go off. Okay, so Trigger does defend well enough. Losing 1 Stalker against 3 Widowmines, not a bad trade here for Trigger. It would have been worse if he had started losing more workers, but he did not lose a single probe. True. Didn't lose any probes. And remember, what's important about this is that Trigger took minimal losses and he got away with his 3rd base, right? Remember, this was a very greedy build from Trigger, and Trigger gets away with a very fast 3rd, and likewise with a boosted economy. So stronger economy coming into the mid game here for Trigger. Meanwhile, ByuN back at home is still trying to amass up, building up his own bio tank. 2nd tank is on the way. We do see he's in position here to defend against the Blink Stalkers, and so far ByuN, he is secure, and we'll see how committed he's going to be. We're still waiting for Stim. Stim is on the way. +1 is on the way. We're still waiting for these upgrades before ByuN can push. Until that moment, it's on Trigger to be as greedy as possible and get ready for that move out. Now, Trigger had the option here. We could have gone for splash damage. Colossus, Bay, Storm. The answer is double Forge into charge. Yeah, Raven has into the main base, getting 1 probe kill so far. Raven is going to be zoned away. But for the time being here, Trigger, again, as we mentioned, double Forge, double upgrades into charge into a very heavy gateway style. This is a bold move, considering that gateway play is supposed to be a little bit more diminished coming into the patch. So he's opting to go for this instead of splash damage. We'll see if Trigger can pull this off. Bearing in mind as well that Trigger is not warping in gateways. Oh, sorry, I should say he's not morphing gateways into warp gates. Better way of putting it. So far, because of that, he does have faster production, faster warp-ins. I mean, Do we want to call it warp-ins? But I guess they're still warping in, I guess. But we have faster production here from Trigger, but they're not as reactive or responsive. But he also saves his money. True, like he doesn't waste resources morphing in those warp gates. Meanwhile, ByuN does threaten a drop, gets spotted by a pylon. Trigger still trying to be active outside of the main. Observer does get caught. Drop is coming in. And Trigger's ready for it. Now, what is a little bit scary here is that Trigger doesn't have any warp gates. And what I mean by that is as we do see the mid, he comes to 2-base all-in. Yeah, we said at the beginning of the game here, 2-base all-ins are very common on Ruby Rock, and it's all or nothing here for ByuN. He sends everything across the map. And so far, I believe the SCVs have not been scouted. They've not been seen. So ByuN has a Raven in between the bases, he has to drop outside of the main base, and he has the main army coming across the map. And remember, Trigger chose not to get splash damage. He chose to go for a very heavy Zealot style instead. And I don't know if Trigger can hold on against this. There's just so much. The SCVs, the boys, they hit a buffer for the Zealots. They hit a tank. Boys revealed, Zealots, they do dive in. Tanks on siege, true. Tanks on siege, the mine shots are about to go off, and they... one of them does get tracked, but so many Zealots go down. Every Zealot does fall, and ByuN snowballs out of control. He breaks through the Zealots, gets on top of the core of the army. Behind this, more Stalkers do arrive. Are there enough Zealots here? They're going to be cleaned up, but actually, Trigger's holding on just barely. Yeah, just barely holding on. Does focus on the tank, focus on all the Marines. That is 24 SCV kills. The all-in has failed at the same time, dropped to the main base. There's a recon to the main. Oh my god, so much production gets depowered, but Trigger saves his mineral line. 60 probes for Trigger, 27 SCVs for ByuN, and things are looking dire for the Terran. I was thinking for a moment there that maybe ByuN would have enough to break through the Zealots, but Trigger, he did pull away those Widow Mines. He was able to minimize splash damage. He traded well enough against the ByuN army, and he just barely had enough to get on top of the tanks. It's also crucial that when it comes to this engage, what happened to ByuN, he got caught unsieged. Also true, there were 2 tanks with the main army. They barely got any value as they were not able to siege up in time. So crucial that Trigger was able to engage ahead of time. And now he's got his 2 Immortals. Now he can focus on the Marauders. And Trigger, he's getting away with better upgrades. He has 1-1, now 2-2 is on the way. 2-2 is on the way. Again, stronger economy, stronger setup. The longer this goes on, the better it is for Trigger. ByuN dropping into the main. Recall's on cooldown. Yeah, recall's on cooldown. Trigger does race back in. Production trying to buy some time. And ByuN does get a pylon. Gets one. He gets 1 pylon so far. Ooh, SimCity working against Trigger here. But Medevacs is being focused down. Gets 1. Yeah, it does focus on 1 Medevac. And it's looking quite bleak here for ByuN, because as time goes on, we're not just getting 2-2. Now we finally have the Colossus. The Colossus is on the way. ByuN dropping back into the main. Again, I do like the reliance on drop play here. The reliance on drop play, just because Trigger's army is less mobile than it once was. It's much more immobile. Drops back in. Mine shots get baited. No good connections. Widow Mines get cleaned up, and this time Trigger, can he focus on some of the Medevacs? Blinks in. Nice focus firing out of ByuN. And Medevacs, they pull away at the same time. Reinforcements, they do hit the 3rd base, and Trigger is out of position. Yeah, Trigger is getting pulled apart. Again, he did F2 to his main base, so the army's not quite ready. Depowers the batteries. Colossus has arrived, though. And on the one hand, sure, ByuN is doing some damage. He killed 3 probes, I guess, but this is not enough. 3 workers went down, a pylon went down, not enough damage. So far, Trigger, he is looking solid. ByuN, he's going to try to bring everything together. He's pulling together his forces. But again, now we have Colossus, now we have a more robust army. And GG gets called. GG gets called. Trigger, he shuts down the all-in, and Trigger takes game number 1. GG. Whew. GG, well played with that. Trigger, he will claim a lead in the series. And again, a very impressive defense there by Trigger. ByuN going for the 2-base all-in, which is favored on Ruby Rock and which is also expected as well. And it was also against a greedy build by Trigger. Remember, Trigger, he went 2-gate blink. 2-gate blink into a 3rd base. So Trigger was being greedy. Trigger, he was vulnerable to an all-in. And ByuN, he was able to set up for it, able to push out across the map. But again, Trigger, he was able to engage ahead of time. He caught the tanks on siege. He baited out the mine shots, made sure they did minimal damage. And he did well for himself, engaging when he did, breaking through all those SCVs and breaking through the main ByuN Marine army. And with that, Trigger did hold. GG, well played. Very impressive defense there by Trigger. And this doesn't bode well here for ByuN, but now we go from one extreme to the other. We go from a rush map into a macro map. Up next, we're loading into the Old Sun Temple. Let's go. Let us go. I see RBV shot in the chat. Where did the Terranico storm drop on SCVs? There was no storm research in this game, and if you maybe missed the game itself, if you remember, it was a 2-base all-in and ByuN pulled the boys. If maybe you missed that game. But let's go. Let us go. As spawning in the top left-hand corner of the Old Sun Temple. Oh, as we have cross spawns, we have the Canadian Protoss player leading the series 1-0, representing Basilisk. It is Trigger. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, we have the blue Terran player, himself, representing Shopify. Down in the series, can he bounce back and make a series out of this? It is ByuN. Let's go. Let us go. Yeah, so those that maybe missed it, we screamed he pulled the boys back. Yeah. But here there's less of a chance for a 2-base all-in, as we are loading into a 4-player small map and we have cross spawns as well. Okay, so long rush distance by ground. It's going to be up to our players to determine where exactly the other is spawning in. Now, to help with scouting, we have taken note, of course, there are maps like Exarch and Fear and Faith, which do have like these aqueducts or monorail systems that connect our bases. Here on the Old Sun Temple, instead we have speed zones. There are speed zones here in the center of the map, and this does help with worker scouting, so we can try to get across the map to figure out what's going on. Likewise, we could even try to risk it all and go for some proxies in the center as well. When it comes to other features of the Old Sun Temple, compared to the other 4-player small maps, this is the most defensive one. What I mean by that is that we do have a very narrow choke point coming up this ramp in towards the natural. Likewise, we have a more narrow entrance here on the left, which is fully walled off here on the left-hand side as well. So there's only one entrance toward the triangular third base. And here on the right-hand side, we do see another wall and another high ground location. So your initial 4-base setup is very secure on Old Sun Temple, more so than on Exarch and more so than on Fear and Faith. On top of that, because of the terrain, once you open up these mineral patches or break through this wall, you have another expansion here that's much more accessible. So taking a 5th base and building up into the late game is much more viable on this map compared to Exarch and Fear and Faith. The other 4-player small maps, the way that they work is that there's a gap. There's a significant gap between your 4 bases and the other corner 4 bases. It's just larger. It's just a larger map, and there's more distance between them, so it's harder to get a 5th base on the other big maps. On this one, I would say it is easier, as the bases are closer together. They're closer together. It's a little bit more, a little bit more congested, if you will. A little bit more consolidated. There we go. But Trigger does find ByuN. So Trigger finds him. ByuN has not found Trigger. ByuN is scattered on the top side for proxies. Is not fully aware as to Trigger's spawn location. For now, though, did go Rax Expand Marine first as well, so this is quite greedy out of ByuN. Not the greediest that we've seen. It does not go CC first, but ByuN does open up with a Rax Expand with a Marine, no SCV Scout, and no Reaper Scout. And bam! 3 CC, 3 Rax. Let's go. So ByuN is being initially an economic opener, nothing too crazy, but the follow-up here is incredibly greedy. So 3 CC into 3 Raxes, there's a second. We are expecting a 3rd Rax as well. This is a very greedy build here. ByuN is vulnerable to aggression, but because of this cross spawn location, there's less of a chance that Trigger can punish ByuN. How do you punish this? Well, because we're expecting a 3rd Rax as well, the factory is very late, right? The factory is very delayed. Because the factory is delayed, that means tank production is delayed as well. So if Trigger were to open up 4-gate Blink, then 4-gate Blink Stalkers can punish this pretty hard. We can rotate, we can push in back and forth. Without tanks, it can be very difficult defense. But if Trigger doesn't know what's going on, and Trigger doesn't know what's going on, then there's no reason to be hyper aggressive, and ByuN should get away with this. And what does this mean? This means that ByuN should have a very strong mid game. He's going to have faster 2-base saturation, as he has an extra mule and he has triple SCV production, and he'll have a faster 3rd base saturation as well. And this culminates into strong mid game play with a boosted economy and a larger army. So again, it's a very greedy build here, and it does start to snowball out of control into the mid game. It takes a while for it to kick in, and it can be abused, but remember, Trigger doesn't know what's going on. Trigger has failed to scout, and Trigger, once again, does go for a faster third. So in the main base, we have one gateway. In the natural, we have a second gateway. This time, we're going to be going for a robo before expand, but this is still quite greedy. Remember, last game was 2-gate blink into a third. This time it's 2-gate blink robo into a third base. So this time it's slightly safer play at a Trigger. Slightly safer with the faster robo. Last game, Trigger was being greedier, if you recall. So our players are adjusting a little bit here. Trigger, after taking a lead in the series, does decide to play a little bit safer, and ByuN is being greedy, and because of Trigger's safer play, it does mean that ByuN will get away with this. Here we go. Just catching with the chat. This map looks large. It is large for sure. It is large, but I was comparing it to the other 4-play small maps when it comes to the base locations. But it is a big map, especially because of the cross spawns. If we had close spawns, then different story, right? Close spawns do allow for aggression, but with diagonal spawns, then that's when we can embrace, you know, the mid game, the late game, and I'm sure that's one of the reasons why ByuN took his third base. I mean, once again, ByuN doesn't even know where Trigger is, so this is still a big risk, a big gamble from ByuN, but it's paying off. It is paying off. I see in the chats, IMO 2-gate blink feels really comfortable in the new patch. You have the equivalent of 3-gate production if you don't turn them into warp gates. That's good to know. We did take note of the fact that Trigger, he did save resources by not morphing in any warp gates, and he was staying on. And of course, with warp gate being researched with regular gateways, they do have increased production. So that might be one of the reasons why maybe it is safer to go 2-gate. Or I say safer, yeah, safer to go 2-gate compared to last patch, where it might have been a bigger risk. I can't say that with full certainty yet. This is just speculation, just because we haven't seen enough games to see 2-gate punished or not, right? Last game we saw that Trigger did get away with it, and I'm curious if throughout the course of the next couple of weeks we see more attempted all-ins and we see more Protoss players get away with 2-gate as an opener, like 2-gate blink. Like, despite aggression, despite all-ins, even on smaller maps. So I'm curious if that trend continues, and we find out that it's actually, like, even more efficient than previously. So we'll see. We'll see how the meta does evolve, because if that sentiment is correct, if 2-gate blink is a safer build than previously, and you can actually muster up a stronger defense against all-ins, then we might see 2-base all-ins die down from Terran as we just hit in. Jesus, oh, the speed zone. Stim through the speed zone is crazy as we chase down the Stalkers. Very nice catch here by ByuN. We spoke earlier that once the third base gets up running, then we do hit that power spike. That's where ByuN is. But his fast 3-base setup is kicking in. Oh, medevac does barely boost away, once again making use of those speed zones. Yeah, it does kite away. Ooh, but medevac's going to be going down. Does get one. Yeah, one medevac does fall. And ByuN is going to punish. Yeah, ByuN, he will punish. There are not enough zealots here. Not enough charge lots. Trigger, he has to get the hell out of here. Does have to pull away. And Trigger maintains his economy. Trigger, he saves his third, he saves his fourth base as well. Instead, both armies, they just clash in the center. Looking at the trades here, we just see that Trigger did bleed out a lot of zealots in that engagement. Meanwhile, ByuN did lose 2 medevacs. True, so I did lose a couple of medevacs, did lose a couple of marauders here. In the end, we bounce off each other. And I'm curious if we enter that game state that I was theorizing earlier in game 1. Specifically, I'm referring to late game TvP. I have not seen enough late game TvP to see what happens if the Protoss player can still gain map control and can still just overwhelm the Terran player with mass gateway production. It's a situation that we haven't seen enough of yet, or at least I haven't seen enough of yet on the new patch. We're not there yet, as ByuN is still fighting for map control, rotating over towards the 4th expansion. Trigger trying to keep up. Once again, these speed zones allow for very fast rotations, but the Zealots here, Zealots have arrived. Mine shots going off. Oh my god, massive connections. Yeah, Zealots clumped up, and they're so low. Purely from the mine shots, so many of them are deep in the red. And Trigger's in trouble. He's in trouble, pappy. Yeah, ByuN sims in. ByuN still has momentum. Trigger needs time for the Colossus, and without the Colossus, there's no defense here. Yeah, gotta try to rush in. Putting out more Zealots. Every Zealot is gonna go down. There's still plenty of bio left over. Now we can dive with the Marauders, and it might just be too much. It might be too much here. Again, the power spike from the 3cc 3 racks is just a little bit too good, a little bit too strong. Plus the trades earlier. Boys are being pulled. Desperation at a trigger. 12 probes go down. And with that, ByuN is done. And ByuN is done. And the Colossus is too little too late. And ByuN will break through. Again, 14 probe kills. ByuN is still rallying. Speed zones, they help. They do help with that. As we speed, we zoom across the map, Pappy. We be zooming. And again, as we mentioned previously, Trigger failed to scout, failed to recognize the aggression of ByuN. I say the aggression, the power spike that ByuN was going to have once his third base got up and running. And you can see that ByuN can now rally. GG gets across the map, and ByuN ties up the series 1-1. GG. Whew. GG, well played. With that, we're getting into game number 3. Let's go. Getting to game 3 here. We have it back and forth. Winding it back once again, ByuN did have a very greedy build here, going into a very fast 3-base saturation. That means that we do hit a big power spike once your third base gets up when it comes to your bio production, and ByuN, he just sent everything across the map. Once again, if you remember, Trigger failed to scout and failed to punish the greed out of ByuN. Trigger tried to get into his own economic build, but we saw that Trigger, he just wasn't able to keep up with the production of ByuN. Likewise, those mine shots were brutal. There's a world where maybe if the mine shots weren't as juicy as they were, maybe Trigger could have been able to hold there, but those were like some of the most value mine shots we've seen, where they connect with all the Zealots, and without that buffer, there was just nothing to buy time for the Colossus, and GG. GG, well played. With that, we're tied up, and we're getting to game number 3. Let's go. Let us go. I also suspect that aggressive 3-racks openers won't be viable all for the same reason. Yeah, we'll see, we'll see. Aged well. I mean, bearing in mind that that the game that we just saw here was 3cc 3-racks, which is different to 3-racks. Similar, kind of, because they both have 3-racks. The number 3 is in the name, but they are different builds. But it is possible. As spawning in the top left-hand corner of at Attorney's Edge, we do have the Canadian Protoss player. We have the red Protoss, being forced into a tied series, representing Basilisk. It is a Trigger. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the South Korean Terran player, the blue Terran, representing Shopify. It is tying up the series 1-1. It is ByuN. Okay, welcome one all to I almost said Attorney's Edge, to add Attorney's Edge. This is an interesting map in the map pool. It does have 2 different dynamics at play. We can expand here towards the southern half of the map, which are safer bases to take that lead into high yield bases, the high yield gold base specifically, or you can expand closer to your opponent's shorter rush distance by ground in towards high yield gas geysers instead. Now, because of that, we have seen a lot of very aggressive timings. Hello. We've seen a lot of aggressive timings here from Terran players in TvP, but ByuN does open up with the proxy racks. Let's go, baby, let's go. So ByuN will spice things up a little bit further here. Meanwhile, Trigger back at home so far, just going for a standard opener, and should soon be moving out with the probe to see what's going on. We'll see how committed ByuN is going to be as he is taking his gas geyser back at home. We'll see if it's just going to be Proxy Reaper, or if we intend to be a little bit more committed than that. Nope. Let's go. Is Rax just short for backs? Yes, yes. Have some jargon like that, if you will, like racks or gates, which yeah, it's so warp gate, and it is going to be Proxy Marauder. Okay, so Tech Lab gets started now. We do have our Proxy Marauder here out of ByuN. So far, Trigger, what scares me is that Trigger did not go for a pylon scout or a gate scout. Trigger, he does not notice that there's no racks back at home. So Trigger does take a risk here. 0 scouting out of Trigger. He has no idea what's going on. As a result, Trigger will have a couple of seconds to react. He'll have very, very little time to react to what's going on and to react to the aggression to the Proxy Marauder. This is ideal for ByuN. Like, the stars are aligning quite well. The Stars are aligning. Again, when it comes to skill or play at this level of play, not scouting is intentional at times and is a calculated risk that you take. For example, last game, remember ByuN didn't scout Trigger at all last game. If you recall, ByuN did check nearby proxy locations, but he did not scout with an SCV or with a Reaper, and ByuN got away with it. This game, it's Trigger that's not scouting, and yeah, he's gonna get caught out as a result. There's no safety battery. Stalker is out in the open as well. Marauders are revealed. Bunkers on the way. Trigger turns back around, and this is just a rough start for Trigger. Ay, ay, ay. Yeah, boys are being pulled. And we'll see if we can deny that bunker and even surround the Marauders. But now we're up to 3. Yeah, now 3 Marauders. Probes are going to start going down. Catching at 1, 2, 3, 4 probe kills. We do zone the army away from the bunker at least. True. Army's going to be zoned away, and this will be cleaned up, and all without losing so many workers here. 6 probes going down, and all this lost mining time as well. And remember, this is not an all-in. Oh, the tall grass. The free shots with the tall grass behind this factory is on the way into Cyclone production. Bunker does finish. Do we get into the bunker? Not quite. Yeah, not quite. Marauder does kill a couple of extra workers here. 9 probes going down. 9 probe kills. Ay, ay, ay. Yeah, back at home. I assumed it was going to be Cyclone. My apologies. We're going for safety wooden mines to defend back at home. We are transitioning. Now, this is good damage, but remember, Trigger does have the Nexus, right? Does have the natural base up and running, is able to produce 2 workers at a time to recover, to recoup those losses. It's on Trigger now to try to gain map control, contain ByuN on a low base count, and to try to delay the natural for as long as possible. And hopefully, Trigger doesn't take the mine to the face. Don't take it to the face! No! Oh! Oh! Oh god, okay, he knows. So he does pull back. Thank god. As we're setting up for the mine drop. Again, CC on the high ground. And the game will continue. It does continue from here. Wooden mines are setting up. Oh, can we hide the mine? Can we? Now, after the initial aggression here, we're expecting ByuN to 2-base all in. Like, usually when it comes to proxies and aggressive early game, like, it comes in layers. We'll see if ByuN goes to one extreme or the other. I mean, already with the oh no, never mind. I was gonna say already with the 1-1-1, we might throw down another Axe. Well, Hallucination does go in, and the Hallucination confirms the fast third TC. And this is huge. Trigger now knows that he can be greedy, that he doesn't have to be overly defensive. He now knows that ByuN is expanding. ByuN revealing cloak as well. But basically, ByuN's goal here is to, what looks to be, try to recover economically from this game by being a little bit greedier. Trigger should have a lot of freedom coming into the mid game. A lot of freedom. Wooden drop is coming in. Trigger just claiming his third. I believe it was 2-gate once again. Yeah, 2-gate bleeding into the robo into the third. So once again, relatively safer play here by going for the earlier robo into detection, into what needs to be immortals if need be. Cloak was cancelled. And again, ByuN is stabilizing. He's still going to stabilize. But as we mentioned before, because of the faster TC, that should prompt Trigger to cut corners, to saturate a little bit faster, to maybe even be greedier and go double forge, double upgrades, faster tech for splash damage. We'll see where the greed ends for Trigger. Trigger does dip back in. Does get eyes on one of the eBays. I would want Trigger to recheck the third. There's a slim chance that maybe it gets cancelled and we just pull the boys. Like we but there we go. Does recheck and does confirm the third base is done. There's no weird like cancellation into just doubling down. Banshee breaks in, batteries in position. Ooh, the Banshee is going to be hunted down as well. Very nice pick up. Takes down the Banshee. That was not quite worth it here for ByuN, as ByuN fails to get any damage done with the Banshee. Thankfully didn't research Cloak. Yep, there it is, double forge, which I do like. Like, considering the current game state and the trajectory of ByuN. Going double forge, double upgrades. This will most likely lead in towards the Bay into Colossus a little bit later down the line. We've seen this setup before, and Trigger even claiming his 4th base. Oh, actually just going for the Bay before the 4th, but once again a fast Bay before a gateway explosion. We're still only on 3 gateways, sorry, 4. 4 gates, faster Bay. Into the 4th base. Now, has Trigger been too greedy? Like, this is probably as greedy as you can get, right? Staying on a low gate count, double forge, Robotics Bay, and 4th expansion as well. I did say that we can cut some corners because of ByuN taking his 3rd base, but it is a bit much, and thankfully ByuN is just looking to break out and claim his 3rd. So Trigger should get away with it. Should. Yeah, 2nd E-base on the way, armory's on the way for eventually 2-2. ByuN is only setting up to expand. And this is an example of where the soup is lying to you, right? The soup does lie. Right now, the supplies are quite close, if not in favor of ByuN, but the reasoning and the rationale for that is because of all the greed that Trigger's just done, right? Because of the double forge, the faster Bay, the faster 4th base as well. Because all this money has been spent on tech and on economy, it takes a little bit longer for it to kick in, but it will kick in. So the rate of growth that Trigger's going to have is going to be much stronger as we get in towards the mid game. Nice catch on the Stalker. As Trigger, he can now start throwing down gateways. Now we can start gateways. Now we can actually commit into our army production. And you see ByuN taking up in towards the Ghost. So Academy's on the way. Mine jump into the natural. Trigger does react. Mine jump into the main base. And once again, Trigger does pull away. Jesus. Oh my god, thankfully no retargeting. Thankfully not. 2 pros to 2 mines. Trigger defends. And ByuN still needs more time to build up. Ghost production will soon begin. Now we're getting to Viking production as well. Zealous try to force friendly fire. No real damage here though. Better defense out of ByuN. Cleans up the run by. At the same time, Trigger does move out. ByuN's reacting well. And Trigger is gaining map control. As Trigger is containing ByuN on a low base count. Behind this, taking more expansions, more Nexi. Trigger's about to max out. It's working on 2-2. Disruptor production has begun. And we're soon going to be entering that game state that I was making reference to earlier about how oppressive Protoss was in the last patch and how it seems like that wasn't going to change coming into this patch, but we'll see. Obviously, there's still no warp gates, so once again, the kind of like burst reinforcements that we're used to seeing isn't going to be happening when it comes to reinforcing after a lost fight. That sudden wave of warp-ins. I'm curious if we actually ever get there, if we actually ever morph them into warp gates. As we have a second Red Bull on the way. Double Disruptor production. Never goes off. Ooh, does connect. Yeah, not bad. Likewise, Stalkers are going to be careful. Trigger does pull away. You can see here the new visual effects. The Disruptor is very, very... it does look a little bit too striking, to be honest. Like, it's very, very apparent when it's off cooldown. But, like, to the point where it stands out quite heavily. I understand that's meant to be the point, but... to me, it looks a little bit too jarring compared to what the rest of the army looks like. But again, maybe, like, that's meant to be the point, I guess. Thursday Curious, early before this patch, there was a visual change, so you can see when the Disruptor was on cooldown. You could already see the visual change, but now they made it more obvious by making it like a big shade of like black or gray. Nova goes up. Now our second Nova. Trigger moving back in. Once again, just trading with the Bio, catching out one of the Yunsiege tanks. Vikings are trying to push forward. Nova zones away. The Vikings, they do collapse on both the Colossus. Nice pickoffs. Gets one, gets two. Just the one. Just one Colossus. Trigger does pull away. And Trigger is happy to trade. Remember, Trigger, he's fighting ByuN for his 4th base. Meanwhile, Trigger is on 6. He's on 6 bases. Trigger, he has map control. He has a booming economy. Oh, EMP goes up. As Nova does graze the army. And it does graze the army here. ByuN trying to build up into more Liberators, into more Vikings. Again, the Viking count was almost reset. He's down to 1 Viking. Down to 1. Down to 0. Yeah, final Viking goes down. Nova goes off on the Marauder. Still 1 Nova left. Again, decent connections. Nothing major. Just chipping away at the army. And so far, Trigger is still trading well. Still trading very well here. ByuN does catch 1 Disruptor. But we have more Colossus on the way. They're coming. There's 4 Vikings so far. But there's still a very healthy Stalker count here. Very healthy. And ByuN is struggling. He's struggling to defend, struggling to maintain. Oh. Still no major Novas yet. But the Vikings, once again, they get focused down. Down to 2 Vikings, down to 1. 1 Viking left. Just free damage here from these 3 Colossus. Yeah, the lasers as they pop up. Oh my god. 1 Colossus gets started down. Now going for the other as well. And Trigger overextends. Big overextension here from Trigger. We get some decent Novas. Do we focus on the planetary? We do not. Oh my god, and Trigger's gonna lose everything. Ay, ay, ay. Yeah, Trigger pushing too far in. Heavy losses for Trigger here. Again, that was not necessary. That was... Basically, as ByuN pulled further back behind the planetary, Trigger, he moved forward with all 3 Colossus, and funnily enough, all 3 Colossus were actually within range of the planetary, and ByuN had some very nice target firing. He focused on the Colossus, one after the other, with the planetary of all things. And Trigger's forced back. And Trigger, he lost all the Stalkers as well. It takes a long time to rebuild them. Yeah, you can see no anti-air left. No anti-air, no Stalkers. Vikings, they just bully the Colossus. Base goes down. That's a lot of Zealots, though. It's a lot of charge slots. Oh my god. Yeah, they collapse on the Ghosts. As ideally as Protoss, you want to preserve your Stalker count, and we just saw a reset, but the Zealots, they do collapse on the Ghosts. So many Ghosts go down. Yeah, massive pickup on those Ghosts. Trigger pulls away. Behind this, we have Stalker reinforcements and more Colossus. But ByuN, he maintains his 4th base. Like this is a big moment for ByuN. Otherwise, what should be happening here is that Trigger should still be maintaining this position, still just threatening the 4th base of ByuN. Not anymore. So the momentum is swung from one player to the other. ByuN sims in. And dust him. One of the Liberators does get caught out. Colossus are exposed, losing 1. Yeah, massive pickoff, losing 1 of the Colossus. Once again, there's no Disruptors. We do dive in once again. The other Colossus almost goes down. And again, Trigger's in trouble here. His army is still on the way. I think this is also something, as an observer, is a little bit different than previously, is that when you see these clashes happen, and when you're looking at the fact that Trigger has a maxed out army, because of how the production's working, a lot of the production is actually still en route. Like, a lot of the army, the supply is still en route. Still coming. And with that, ByuN, he does break through, takes out the Colossus once again, and ByuN is overwhelming. He's reaching critical mass. We have 5 Liberators. There's too much freedom, too much liberation, and ByuN, he just snowballs out of control, breaks through the main army, catches out all the Stalkers. Colossus barely survives. Barely survives. But again, this all came down to Trigger overextending earlier. And ByuN is getting out of hand. Oh, he wants it. Almost. Casito. Oh, Trigger's crazy. He blinks in. He gets 1, 2, 3 Liberators. Barely 4. Oof. Barely 4. Barely 5? Okay. 5 Liberators go down. 6. Gets all 6. Very nice cleanup here. ByuN also ran out of reinforcements. His army was thinned out. He stuck around a little bit too long. Both players overstaying their welcome in their own moments. But ByuN just getting a little bit too greedy there. Trigger still very much so in this. And Trigger may have lost one base. Oh, as he will lose a Colossus, but he does take top right. He's taking more expansion on the top side. Taking more next time. Still expanding. Trigger still trying to keep up. As ByuN is claiming another planetary here, now getting a 5th base. Oof. Yeah, 5th base now getting up. Trigger, he rotates over. Does find a free... Never mind. I was going to say finds a free tank. Well, a little bit late to react. Yeah, Trigger pulls away. And again, Trigger's army is being outscaled. Up until we reached all those Liberators, like Trigger, he was looking dominant, took a bad fight, and now ByuN is now able to incorporate a much more heavy Liberator composition. And as a result, so this ground focus army out of Trigger now struggles. It now struggles a little bit more as now we have more efficiency out of ByuN with more Ghosts, EMPs, Liberators, Vikings. ByuN still needs a little bit of time to max out, but he's getting there. Oh. As Trigger is running out of bases to take. So I'll say try to collapse in. Try to collapse in. Oh, catching out another Liberator. Catching out another. Trigger coming in from behind. A nice yellow run-by, takes out the tank and gets into the mineral line. For the first time in a long time, economic damage. A couple of SCVs are going down. It's taken a while. At the same time, Trigger, he rotates towards the left-hand side and ByuN is out of position. Yeah, completely out of position here. Planetary goes down. A nice rotation by Trigger. Very nice. 13 SCV kills. As Trigger's trying to keep up. Trigger does take the fight. Bleeding out some Zealots. Another run-by. Once again into the mineral line. ByuN is in position though. Yeah, ByuN defends. Orbital does re-expand. Ooh. It does re-expand. Disruptor's exposed. Massive pickup. Catching up the Disruptor. The Colossus are exposed as well. ByuN, he wants them. He stims. Yeah, he stims in and he almost gets one. Whew. Casito. A couple shots go up. Trigger, we're going to be careful. There's a very low Colossi. Getting very low. Trigger pulls away. Liberator count is still looking quite healthy for ByuN. 7 Liberators. But the Ghost count has been struggling. Whenever we have an engagement, because the Ghosts are typically far forward, they keep going down to the Zealots. I say that. How many have gone down? 5. Okay. There hasn't been that many that made this game. But the Ghost count has been kept quite low. Oh, there it goes off. Just owning. Trigger, he does retake these bases. Going for center right. There is no planetary here, but ByuN is ready. He's ready for the Zealots. Ooh, Mass Liberators does defend here the 3rd base location. Trigger still looking for a way in. Rotates over. Liberators, they also reposition as well. Again, it's all about these rotations. ByuN has to keep up with the main army with these libs. And so far he is. Sets up the freedom zones. Trigger, he rotates. ByuN is ready. And ByuN is not maxed. Ooh, ByuN is maxed out, so we'll bleed out 1 Liberator and a Viking. Trigger still looking for a way in. He's still looking, Pappy. Oh, sneaking in from behind. Okay. He does skirt around the edge. Heads towards the 4th base. Stalkers, they dive in. Catching out 1, 2 Liberators. Not bad. And Zealots, they don't get much done here. Yeah, tries to go for the planetary. Wasn't quite worth it. A lot of Zealots get thrown away. Oh my god, the Novas though. The Novas connect. ByuN not looking. As ByuN attempts, I mean, they're both fighting for the gold. Who can take it? The gold base. Who can claim it? So far, Trigger's on location. Ooh, Liberator does 9 mining. Nice move with the Liberator. Army rotates with left-hand side. Planetaries, sorry, the Nexus is under threat. Trigger can try to use this to come in from behind the army. There are no Liberators here. Yeah, Trigger's going for it. Coming in from behind. ByuN needs to get the hell out of here. Has to pull away. Does want to get cornered. Who's round 2? Uh-oh. Trigger has to back off. Trigger has to pull away. Has to back up. Almost gets baited in. And ByuN's going for the gold. He's going for the gold base. Trigger, he does try to catch some of the Vikings. Zell said to get into the mineral line. Not many SCVs to kill, but damage nonetheless. 5 SCVs. That one Liberator popping off. 15 probe kills. The gold has yet to be saturated. Trigger once again trying to find a better angle of attack. Does catch the sensor tower. Just causing a distraction at the same time. Does hit the gold. And will deny. Denies the gold expansion. There's still one more base here that has not been taken. Also, it's very easy to forget, but Trigger, there's still another base here that's very free for Trigger with a high yield gas as well, by the way. But it's very easy to forget those center bases. Oh, there's no major connections. The Liberators, for the most part, they keep up. Oh, that Trigger does blink in, gets one. Bleeds out a couple of Stalkers though, and a Colossus. So some expensive trades there for Trigger. But again, this base is very often or easily forgotten. Trigger gets a free base for you, Pappy. Just bear that in mind. As ByuN does find an opening. Oh, massive catch. He gets 1, 2, 3, 4 disruptors and the Colossus as well. Ay, ay, ay. Yeah, Trigger gets caught out. At the same time, does go for a massive Zealot run by. So Trigger, who loses his main army, but at the same time, he cripples the economy. Does cripple. Remember, that was 5 disruptors and 1 Colossus. So Trigger, who loses his main core robo units. Does pick up some SCVs. Meanwhile, ByuN is he's not done. He's going to keep pushing. Do we recall? Bold move. Yeah, he recalls over, but alas, ByuN should win this fight. Cleans up the Gateway Army. Trigger in a rough position. Will go for the CC. Does not kill. No shot. Doesn't kill the base. So we do have Colossus. We have reinforcements, and ByuN breaks. Sorry, Trigger breaks through. Trigger's breaking through. He's so close. At the same time, ByuN knocking down bases. And Trigger does not break in. Ay, ay, ay. So 2 next side go down for Trigger. And Trigger, he fails to kill the CC. And Trigger's in trouble. Trigger, he has no bank. He's about to get surrounded. Trigger, he'll lose everything. Massive surround. ByuN comes in from behind, catching out the Colossus once again. And Trigger has nothing. He has nothing left. We're down to a couple of Gateway units, 2 Stalkers, a couple of Zealots. Ay, ay, ay. Again, Trigger, he was holding his own up until he got caught here, right? When he got caught with all the Disruptors, all the Colossus. He was holding his own, Pappy. But now he's broke. If only Trigger knew that he had a base here. If only even that would not be enough, to be fair. It would help, but given the current game state. Again, a very intense back and forth. Very intense. But ByuN is running away with it. He's running away with it. Knocking down more bases, more expansions. We'll take down center left. Center left, Pappy. Catching at the Disruptor. The more Liberations arrive. GG gets called as ByuN snowballs out of control, and ByuN takes game number 3, taking a lead in the series. Whew, GG. GG, well played. And with that, a very intense back and forth here. Very intense, very close, very clutch. Again, there were a couple of key moments there where Trigger did overextend. There are two key moments that I'm thinking of. If you remember, when Trigger pushed in towards the planetary, when he moved his 3 Colossus within range of the planetary, when he was fighting for the 4th base of ByuN, that was one big overextension from Trigger. And the other big moment, of course, is towards the end when he did get all of his Disruptors and Colossus caught in the center of the map. When he got them all caught out and when his Robo army was reset. So there were a couple of key moments here where we saw ByuN catch Trigger out of position and punish at times some over aggressive moves out of Trigger as well. But outside of that, it was very close, very clutch. We saw a lot of trades, a lot of rotations, a lot of army movements. It was all about the army movement really when it comes to that game, and ByuN was for the most part keeping up. Both players found some openings here and there, but ByuN did shut him down. GG, well played. But a solid game, very solid game, very impressive play. GG. It's beautiful. Here we go. Oh, as we are getting ready here for game number 4. Into the storm, Matt Zealot's bad late game. I feel like that. See Rigel in chat. I feel like that shows a bit of a lack of understanding of the late game. Storms, they do fall off as the game continues just because of the higher ghost counts. You saw a lower ghost count out of ByuN, but that's because there were no storms or high Templar. As you try to get into Templar, that's when ghosts arise. So typically high Templar, they fall off getting into the later game and you switch into Disruptors. The reasoning for this is because Disruptors are safe against Vikings and they're safe against ghosts because Vikings don't shoot down and ghosts EMPs don't stop Purification Overs. So I would say that shows a bit of a lack of understanding of late game, but hopefully that does kind of make things make a little bit more sense, which is why you see a transition into Disruptors more commonly in TvP as we get into longer games. But here we go, spawning in the top left-hand corner of Necropolis, we have the red Protoss player. We have the Canadian Protoss representing Basilisk. It is Trigger. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the blue Terran player, the blue Terran himself, representing Shopify. It is ByuN. Here we go. Here we go as we are getting into our next game. And once again, ByuN does move out early on across the map, and we'll see what we set up with here. Let's go. Also didn't have warp gates. Yeah, I think I agree with one of the comments made earlier that once you get into a certain stage of the game, it would be ideal to have a couple of warp gates just for defensive warp-ins, just to help alleviate with some of the drop play. I would say that, to be fair, there wasn't really much like harassment that was going on from ByuN outside the Liberators, which was doing a lot of damage, to be fair. Like the Liberator harass was impactful for sure. But I would agree with the idea of players getting used to getting a couple of warp gates in that later game. But I wouldn't fault players too much at the moment because the patch is still very new, and I can't imagine we've had too much experience yet at that stage of the game with this new kind of like warp gates mechanic or with a change to the production. But for sure, I do agree that like there is a lot of value, especially when you have a bank like that, when you're spreading yourself thin, to be able to react in some way. But here we go as ByuN does once again open up Proxy Marauder. We're setting up. Welcome to Necropolis. Necropolis is an RSL map. Or I say an RSL map, it's a bit of an older TLMC map. I've been vocal about this before. I'm not too fond of the idea of this map being in the RSL map pool when we could have used other more modern, more recent TLMC maps. But it was voted on by the patrons. So I mean, we have it, and from here we do have a high ground natural base, so it's a little bit more defendable here. The Zealot does move out across the map, but will miss the proxy. Ooh, does miss a proxy. As ByuN does move in, sets up the bunker. Again, now Trigger is aware of what's going on. At the same time, he's got one Zeld and one Adept across the map, but we can just mass repair this. And Trigger's in trouble. Yeah, Trigger's in trouble. Pylon goes down. Marauders, they dip into the main. How many probe kills? What can we get done? Boys are being pulled. Yeah, boys are being pulled. The bunker's gonna finish. Oof. Yeah, the bunker's gonna finish. This position cannot be broken. And again, it was just really unfortunate here for Trigger to have his army across the map, to fail to scout as well. The Adept is gonna be focused down, and it all just falls apart early on. Ay, ay, ay. Yeah, 3 more probe kills. Now going for the battery. And again, we can always just pull back to the bunker. We can always pull back to it. And this is an example compared to the previous game of Proxy Marauder just getting the most amount of damage here. Everything just aligning here for ByuN. At the same time, a couple of SCVs do go down to the Adept. A couple, but we can just keep producing. We can just keep producing. Keep up the momentum. 14 probe kills. Does snipe 1 Marauder. So 1 Marauder does go down. Oh god, no! He gets a Stalker. Yeah, still catches the Stalker in the end. There's just so much burst damage with these Marauders. The Stalkers, they get hunted down one after the other. There's the Angeva charge. That will help at least somewhat. But again, this is how the series ends, which is just saying, which is a shame. This series has been very dynamic, very back and forth, especially that last game as well. We've had a lot of very intense games between these two players, and it all ends here. It all ends with the proxy. Adept does get into the mineral line and will kill some SCVs, but GG gets called, and ByuN will claim the series 3-1, and ByuN will qualify for RSL Season 6. GG. GG, well played. ByuN will claim the series here. Again, we had a really intense and dynamic series overall. I loved game 1, 2, and 3. Unfortunately, though, the series ends with some cheese with a proxy. Unfortunately, Trigger, he failed to scout said proxy, moved across the map with his first Zealot and with his first Adept as well, so he had all of his army units across the map, so he could not fight for the bunker, right? He could not deny the bunker from getting up and running. The bunker did finish. That meant that ByuN had a very nice kind of outpost to fall back to if ever need be, and he just crippled the economy, got out of hand, got out of control. GG. GG, well played. Congratulations, ByuN. He will claim the series. He will claim the series, and with that, we're getting ready for our next qualifying match. So ByuN, he's qualified. Trigger, he's going to be knocked out of the qualifier. He'll have to try once again in the Korean qualifier or European qualifier or Patreon voting instead. Wish Trigger the best of luck, of course, in the other qualifiers. Wish him the best as we get ready for our next qualifying match. GG. GG, well played.